From the moment Michael Massey handed the championship to Max Verstappen in the final race, to the increasingly intense and bitter rivalry between Max and Lewis. Discover what led Verstappen to break Mercedes' dominance in one of the most competitive and unpredictable F1 seasons of the last decade. This is the story of the 2021 Formula One season. We didn't realize it at the time, but a ruthless and fierce rivalry was brewing. A story that began the moment Max Verstappen made his debut with Toro Rosso in 2015. The youngest driver ever to debut in Formula One had started showing more and more flashes of his extraordinary talent, inevitably heading toward a collision with the legendary Lewis Hamilton. The British driver, a towering figure in the sport, was the benchmark of F1. With over 12 years of experience more than Verstappen, he held all the major F1 records, including the most poles, wins, and a share of the biggest titles, alongside the legendary Michael Schumacher. For a long time, Max Verstappen had been seen as the future challenger to Lewis Hamilton's era of dominance, but up until that point, he had never had the tools to take on this challenge. Despite combining his phenomenal speed with improved consistency in recent years, Verstappen's best championship finish before 2021 was third place. With Mercedes dominating almost uncontested in 2020, even coming close to those results seemed like it would be difficult. However, pre-season testing revealed an unexpected twist. Red Bull had made significant progress, while Mercedes, by their high standards, seemed to be struggling in 2021. Red Bull finally had a car capable of fighting for the title. Max had transformed from a promising talent into a true contender, and so the season began without delay, with the first act unfolding in Bahrain, where Verstappen and Hamilton began a long battle of wits and strategy. The controversy erupted when Verstappen overtook Hamilton, but off the track and with an illegal maneuver. Verstappen was forced to give the position back, but the first round went to Hamilton. The rivalry intensified in the following races, with Verstappen often taking the aggressive role, although he couldn't win every race, settling for second place in the next few. The real turning point came in France when Verstappen, with an impressive victory, seemed ready to take control of the championship, tying on points with Hamilton. But it was only at Silverstone that the rivalry truly began. Lewis Hamilton started from pole position in the sprint race, but was unable to maintain the lead, with Max Verstappen passing him with incredible precision to take the victory. In the main race, the home hero began his pursuit. Verstappen maintained his lead, closely followed by Hamilton and Leclerc. An exhilarating battle ensued between Verstappen and Hamilton on the first lap. Hamilton had already been forced to avoid Verstappen's aggressive moves several times throughout the season, but this time, he refused to back down. As they took a fast corner, Max crashed into the barriers with a violent impact, and the race was interrupted for barrier repairs. At the restart, Leclerc, who had moved into first place after the incident, managed to hold on to the lead, while Hamilton received a 10-second penalty for his role in the collision. As the race continued, Hamilton, realizing he could make up valuable points on Verstappen, started pushing hard. His strategy culminated in a pass on Valtteri Bottas, following team orders. With only a few laps remaining, Hamilton set his sights on Leclerc's Ferrari. Despite Leclerc's strong defense, Hamilton managed to pass him thanks to his determination and better tire conditions. On lap 50, Hamilton took the win, despite the surrounding controversy, securing a much-anticipated home victory. The drama continued after the race, when Verstappen criticized Hamilton's celebrations, calling them disrespectful since he was in the hospital. From that moment on, the championship battle shifted dramatically. Hamilton managed to gain 25 crucial points in the standings. In Hungary, Bottas caused a major incident, damaging Verstappen's Red Bull floor, but the engineers miraculously repaired it, allowing Max to continue the race, though with compromised performance. During the red flag, a mistake by Hamilton left him as the only driver not to pit, while everyone else changed to slick tires. The resulting pit lane chaos sent Ocon into the lead, giving him the chance to win his first race, while Lewis and Max finished 2nd and 9th respectively. Then came Spa. The track was hit by heavy rain on race day, and even the qualifying session hadn't gone much better. The Belgian Grand Prix was interrupted with a red flag after just 2 laps behind the safety car, with Nikita Mazepin setting the fastest lap at one point. With no competitive racing, the qualifying results determined the points. Verstappen, starting from pole, earned 12.5 points, while Hamilton, finishing 3rd, earned 7.5 points. This reduced Hamilton's championship lead to just 3 points. In the Netherlands, however, the Dutch fans came out in full force to celebrate, and Max made them dance with a stunning victory, dominating the track. He was unbeatable in front of his Orange Army. The Dutch Lion had finally roared. Their next clash would be at Monza. A slow pit stop for Verstappen later in the race led to a collision at the first chicane on lap 26. The two had already collided multiple times during the season, and the Silverstone incident was still fresh in everyone's mind, including the drivers. As they arrived at the first chicane, their refusal to back down led to a serious crash. Both title contenders were forced to retire. Both blamed the other for the incident, with Lewis even questioning why Max didn't come to check on him. After the crash, Hamilton claimed his 100th victory at the Russian Grand Prix in late September, after Lando Norris, who had been leading, made a mistake, allowing Hamilton to regain the championship lead, while Verstappen recovered 2nd place after starting from the back due to an engine penalty. In Turkey, Hamilton changed his engine, incurring a 10th-place grid penalty but fought back, finishing 5th. Meanwhile, Verstappen put on a brilliant performance, but was eventually beaten by one of Valtteri Bottas' best races of the season. Just when it seemed like Mercedes was making a comeback, Verstappen won consecutive races in the United States and Mexico, putting a strong grip on the title. The standings read Hamilton 293.5, Verstappen 312.5. Verstappen's position seemed to solidify when Hamilton's car failed a routine post-session test at the Brazilian Grand Prix, sending him to the back of the grid for the sprint race. Despite the obvious difficulty of starting from 20th, Lewis made his way through the field during the 24-lap sprint, gaining 15 positions in what was undoubtedly his best drive of the season. His incredible focus not only allowed him to pass others at an incredible pace, but also enabled him to make decisions that even Hamilton's most seasoned fans hadn't seen in a while. His performance in the sprint was impressive, but it was on Sunday that Hamilton truly dazzled. Despite being demoted again to 10th, Hamilton quickly recovered, gaining positions with pass after pass, reaching 4th place with some help from Bottas. His pursuit of the Red Bulls was relentless. Hamilton eventually won the race, with Verstappen finishing 2nd. The champion was fighting for his title. The young challenger knew the real battle had begun. Hamilton kept his momentum with a dominant win in Qatar, bringing the championship fight to the final round in Saudi Arabia. A win there would allow him to level the points with Verstappen. Incredibly, that's exactly what happened. However, the way they got to this point seemed almost unreal. In an exciting duel for supremacy, Verstappen cut the corner twice while trying to defend his position. Twice he was instructed to give the position back to Hamilton. In the end, Hamilton won, but a moment of confusion occurred on lap 37 when Verstappen let Hamilton pass on the pit straight. a place where he could have easily reclaimed the position. Hamilton, realizing the situation, slowed down behind him, but not quickly enough to avoid the collision. Both drivers were giving it their all. The stewards deemed Verstappen responsible, but I'll leave it up to you to discuss that in the comments. Despite all the ups and downs of the season, Lewis and Max were tied with 369.5 points each. The rivalry between these two drivers was very real, and now they were ready to face off in the last race of the season. With the sunset in the background of Abu Dhabi, the stage was set for an unprecedented Formula One finale. Verstappen, starting from pole, was finally looking to establish himself as number one, while Hamilton, from second position, was determined to stop the young challenger and become the driver with the most titles in Formula One history. As the lights went out, the world held its breath. But Verstappen lost the lead at the first corner, giving Hamilton the early advantage. The race became more exciting when Verstappen made a bold move to overtake, forcing Hamilton off track. But Hamilton managed to get back in front, albeit with an illegal maneuver. Surprisingly, the stewards decided not to penalize Hamilton. Meanwhile, Verstappen made a strategic move, stopping for fresh tires to try and fight for the championship. With each lap, Verstappen closed the gap to Hamilton, but Hamilton seemed unstoppable. At that point, it seemed like the race was already decided. Many thought that Verstappen, despite his efforts, would never catch Hamilton's Mercedes. Yet, a straightforward finish to the 2021 season seemed impossible after everything it had given us. But what happened next was hard to believe. Just when Hamilton seemed close to winning his 8th title, a crash involving Latifi caused a safety car that gave Verstappen a new hope. With fresh tires, Verstappen prepared for the most dramatic finish in F1 history. Hamilton stayed out on old tires, a decision that would have a huge impact on the race. Red Bull had bet everything on this strategy, with Verstappen trusting the team. With the safety car in play, the question was raised: should lapped cars overtake the safety car, allowing Verstappen to close the gap to Hamilton, or stay in their positions? After a discussion between the team principals, Masi made the decision to allow only the lapped cars between Verstappen and Hamilton to overtake, setting up a restart that would decide the race. When the safety car left the track, Verstappen seized the moment, ready to fight until the last lap for the title. As time seemed to stand still, with an audacious move on the inside of turn 5, Max Verstappen pulled off an extraordinary twist to retake the lead. Against all odds, Verstappen overtook world champion Hamilton, who appeared completely surprised. It was a moment of glory for Red Bull, but also a crushing blow for Mercedes. Verstappen successfully defended against every attempt by Hamilton to reclaim the top spot. He wasn't about to give up now, after all the hard work he had put in. When the checkered flag waved and the night sky lit up with fireworks, Max Verstappen crossed the line. It was his first world title. Against all the odds, and with one of the most formidable rivals, Verstappen achieved what many had failed to do. The finish was, however, extremely controversial, with many conflicting opinions emerging after the race. In the end, though, there was one thing everyone could agree on. Both drivers had deserved the 2021 title. The season had been full of hard and frantic racing, impossible not to get caught up in the intensity. There's something captivating about the legendary spectacles of Formula One. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the first video, and we'll see you in the next one.